from Blues Creek Guitars again. My friend Glenn is sitting there behind the camera. He ought to stand in front one so he can see what he actually looks like. We're going to have a couple of discussions here. The first discussion, so many people ask about temperatures to bend. Now, there's a couple of variables that you're going to need to understand. Number one, obviously, is how thick your wood is. I do know the resonator guys. They like to build with a little bit heavier side than acoustic guys. I generally do pretty much a Martin style where my sides are about 75 thousandths thick. I also like to use moisture. I do not soak wood. I've learned very early soaking can sometimes give you trouble, but you often hear, oh, I soak it, I do it this way. Again, wood is stupid. You get it hot, it will bend. But how do you know when it's ready to? I do know that rosewood, mahogany, I've bent hundreds of different woods. They all have one thing in common. Usually somewhere around 250 to 275 degrees, you're in a safe range of bending wood. There are a few woods where that exception won't work. Padauk is a very difficult wood to bend. You got to keep it very damp, and you got to get it hot. I generally bend Padauk somewhere in the 350 range, and I'll take it up as high as 400. Not for a long time, mind you, but I do make sure that it is damp and it's hot. That's all I'm going to say about Padauk. I try to avoid Padauk. Cocobolo, I am allergic to Cocobolo, so I really can't work with it too much. But Cocobolo, like any of the rosewoods, actually bends reasonably low temperature. By that I mean in the 250, 270 range. But I swear you can get 5 gallons of resin out of a 2-inch piece of Cocobolo. So if you don't use paper, use something as a separator between the slats and your piece of wood. Otherwise, you're really going to have a hard time getting that residue off, because it is a nightmare. Mahogany, I think, is probably the most problematic of the standard woods that I use. Mahogany is funny because you can get 3 different boards and they're all going to bend a little different. Mahogany does prefer just damp, but it likes heat. You can bend it at 275, but you got to take that up to about 350 at some point in order to get that hot. And I think I had mentioned in one of my bending videos, one way to find out how good you're doing, if you take the springs off the hold down, hold the bottom slat after it's cooled, hold that bottom slat and lift the top slat. That wood should be reasonably tight against the pattern. If it's within an inch or two, you're probably pretty good. If it's boinging back up, well, then spray it again. Take it up to about 375, 400 degrees. And maybe cycle it like that 2 or 3 times until you can lift it and it holds down. Don't ask me why it does it. If I knew the answer, I would tell you. The other thing you got to be careful of with mahogany is it has hard spots and soft spots. If you have a piece of wood like that, I can guarantee you she's going to cup. There are some tricks to getting some of the cupping out. Again, I use a clothes iron and Windex, but sometimes it just is in there, and for whatever reason, mahogany just doesn't want to be a guitar sometimes. Maple, figured maple especially, if you get that too wet, you can take that out of the bender, and I've already, it came out of the bender looking pretty. The next day, that thing just literally wrapped around itself. Just enough moisture to keep it damp. It does not like a lot of water. Like mahogany, it likes heat. And I generally leave it sitting in the bender overnight, and then I try to get it into the mold right away. That's it. I mean, it's no big deal. Sometimes when you're bending, you have little cracking issues. A lot of times they're very repairable. Super glue, fine on rosewood, not good in maple, not good in mahogany. Tight Bond original, I do not recommend using anything else. Hot hide glue, fish glue, they're all fine. You just have to remember, glue sometimes can leave a footprint. So your water-based glue is fine. CA glue, curing glue, sometimes that can screw you over. So do it with a test piece. Now, what other woods that we can usually use commonly? Macacabu, Granadillo, Chechen, you know the wood. Most of those, again, 275, 350, you're probably going to be fine. The biggest thing is to lift that top slat and see how much spring back you have. And as long as you know that and you don't take it out of the bender, you can just run another heat cycle. So I hope that helps you understand what temperatures you need. It's not rocket science. And again, when you do your bending, you should be done bending 4 to 5 minutes. If you're going past 7 or 8, you're going to be in crack time. So with that, my quick tip from Blues Creek Guitars, and I hope you find it helpful in your shop. Bye. Okay.
Alright, well, we're running.
Alright.
Hold on a second.
Dick Yingling. I'll wear your shirt in my next video. Okay.